Hello and welcome to this week's Scriptcase by Jamie episode. My name is Jamie, I am your host, and I am showing you the ins and outs of Scriptcase and how we can do bits and pieces, create projects, build platforms, integrate applications, and of course write some code and much more as we continue on throughout the videos. Of course, at the moment we are still developing our first project here. Now this project is available for members only, I am afraid, and if you are a member at Scriptcase by Jamie, then you will be able to download this project from within the members area. And today, or at the end of today's session, should I say, I will be upgrading that project so that you will also be having the latest project as it is today with the previous updates, as well as today's updates, of course. So without further ado, let's dive into the platform and open our project. So Scriptcase is of course really cool, and we can really take our time developing projects or platforms. We can come back into an application multiple times and make adjustments. Now in some cases, once you've developed a really complex application, you may not want to do that. In those cases, it is always better to replicate your applications. Now I believe so far we have already incremented our version. So let me check our version history. We are today at 1.01. Okay, and I will be upgrading that today. So we will today be at 1.02. Okay, so that will be coming up, and for now let's just go ahead and run our project, which we have here, and see where we were. So we have here our menu application. Now I want to do a bit of a cleanup today so that the header is looking better, and the same with some of our applications here. So at the moment we are running the Rhino theme, and as much as I do like this theme, it does take a little working to make it look really up to date with what we expect platforms to look like today. And some of the other themes we have available within Scriptcase, well, maybe they would be a little more suitable, and I actually just want to make some of those adjustments here at the moment. So you may have noticed one of those changes that I had applied during the first recording cycle, because I'm seeing it has not updated there. I'm not going to mention what it was because we are just going to apply it, and that way at least everything will be up to date. So that's probably still a caching issue there. Okay, so let's dive into our application. So the first thing I wanted to change today was within here our email TPL. Okay, so if I go ahead and run the grid application, you may notice that it has a few changes from previous as well, because we actually had added a pill here for the status. So within this application, we had previously added Bootstrap and displayed a pill here. And because of course I went ahead and started to re-record the video, well, I've just added that in there for the time being so that you can hopefully identify that. Okay, so we had have still now our status field here. And what I wanted to do, and what I had done in the previous video that obviously I'm re-recording now, I removed here the status field. Okay, and then within the events on script init, we had here the Bootstrap script. I had removed that, and then on record we had here the status, which changed depending on the status. So basically I had removed both of those scripts. Okay, so that basically within this project, maybe we could stay a bit more Scriptcase, and instead of adding other libraries or anything into this, we can make this pretty clean to and standard to what Scriptcase provides us. And then afterwards, if you want to go ahead and import this, you can add any types of features you want. Okay, so within our edit fields, we have removed their status. I don't want to add here the TPL active again, okay? But what I will do is I will drag it there into position so that I can actually see what it was and remember what that field was when we come here to the action bar. So within the action bar, we can add new icons, or buttons, should I say, that open up all sorts of possibilities. So first of all, I'm going to apply here an ID. So I'll call it, let's call this one here. Well, let's call it TPL status. Why not? Okay, so we have two types. We have a link type and an Ajax type. The link type will allow us to link the icon. So having an icon here, we can link that to an application. So the same way that you would use here the application links. Pretty much the same way, okay? But then with the Ajax option, it opens up more possibilities, because if I go next, I can now use the add states, okay? So here I can add multiple states and of course remove them. So here, for instance, I will add the state active and here inactive. Okay, so now I've assigned for the action bar two states, active, inactive. I will apply an icon here. So if I go for an exclamation mark here and the same here. Okay, and of course I want to apply a color to the active, which would more than likely be green. So I will apply green. And here for inactive, well, I want this to be orangey, like so. Okay, for the hover, I will apply a red for the inactive and maybe a lighter green for the active. Now here on the right, I have further options to apply colors to the active status. So when I click that item, and also a hint. So there you see, I had already added hints previously. So here I am saying this email is active, and then this email is now inactive. Okay, and then we have the option for a confirmation message. So if I add in there, are you sure? Whenever I click on that icon, it will present a window asking me if I want to continue. So are you sure? So we have now here two states that we can basically play with. Okay, so if I save that button, now here within the code and being a member, you have here our code snippets. So you can just scroll down here and there you have the SC action bar disable, show and state. Now I choose here the state. If I click on that, I then have here the various code examples that I can use. So here at the top, we have a very basic implementation of the state. So here, first of all, SC action bar clicked state. This is a Scriptcase macro, and here we basically define the status. So in our case now, that would be active, inactive, okay? And then we have here the SC action bar state. So the first term here is then the name of the button, okay? So that was TPL status, if I'm not mistaken. And then we have here the state. So sent, that would be inactive. So that would then become the new state because we are currently active. We want it to become inactive, okay? And then here, else, we are just applying the opposite from our initial state that we assign here. So that is a very basic implementation that we have there. The second option here, that updates our database tables as well as changes the state of the button. And that is pretty much what we are going to want to use right now. The one at the bottom here is very similar to the first example. So I will just go ahead and delete that, and we can go ahead and make some adjustments here to the first script. So here I will first of all say active and update, then here the TPL status, I believe it was. So we will have to confirm that. And of course, if it's not correct, then the functionality will not update. Okay, so it will not update the new status here to inactive. And then here we want to change it to active. Okay, so our table. So we have then also our email table, and the field was then email underscore TPL, if I'm not mistaken, and set then also the TPL active. Okay, and then the active status would then be 0. Okay, because we are updating from active to inactive, and then here we want to have a 1. And then again, we can just replicate that here because it's the same fields. So the same field, email TPL and TPL active being the table where it is active or inactive. And then our order ID here is then our ID email TPL. So if I just replicate that again, and that is then also our field here, which we can then also confirm. So let me just save that. Come here to SQL, and there is then our main ID, and there is our status from the email underscore TPL. Okay, so that is looking good. And of course, if I go ahead and run that now, that should also update then the status. So let's go ahead and do that. And now we have here our status. So right now it's active. And if I click on that, are you sure? Okay. And now it changes and it is inactive. Okay, so if I just go ahead and check that here, I'm seeing here that the status is not changing. But if I actually come here into my email TPL table, we have here the TPL active as 1 right now. And now it is active. If I click on it, am I sure? Inactive. And if I refresh that here, it has changed to 0. So that is actually looking good. I'm just going to go ahead and remove the field because it's really just a dead field now anyway. And now if I run, click on active, are you sure? Inactive. And then let's check that here, inactive, okay? And click again, it should now be active. And we can refresh, it is now active. Okay, so now that we have applied that, we actually want to also update that in certain ways. So if I go ahead and run the email application again, we have removed the field and everything. It's looking great, but this active status is not really being applied to anything. It's being set as active automatically without any values. So we need to actually come here to our events and then here on script init, or in fact on record, because we want to apply this to each row, correct? So here on record, if I come back to code snippets again, I can come scroll down again, and there we have then our action bar state once again. And if I remove the top 2 selections there, I have here the alternative example that I was talking about previously. So here I can actually give the ID. So if I come here and I click save, so we have here TPL active. That is what we want on here. So if I come here and say if TPL active equals 1, then we are going to say, and save along the way, just confirm our buttons and everything, TPL status. So our TPL status is then here now active, okay? And then we can just copy and paste inactive. There we go. So just like that, now if I go run, now this is a true value, okay? So previous to that, this is not actually true. It's just because it's active. But now we've actually tied it, or tied the action bar button that we've just created and linked it also to the actual row of data, okay? So then every time we load this grid, it will actually display current data, okay? So if I have more there, it will be correct. So we have made a lot of adjustments here. I think we're actually good to continue with, well, more of course. Okay, so I want to actually apply this also to 1 or 2 other applications. So we have here our clients and also our companies. And in both of these, we had the option also to set them as active and inactive. So just to speed things up, really, we could just go ahead in here and just copy this script, especially if you've just hand coded that following the manuals, the documentation, any information that you have, and especially being a member, of course, you have lots of scripts and examples available within the knowledge base. So you could just copy and paste those and move on. So here within our clients table, let's go ahead and load that, as well as here also our companies table. Okay, so this option, let's first of all check here our table. We have here ID clients active, and for the grid companies, SQL, active. Okay, so we can assign a 0, 1 to either of those and so forth. So let's come here first of all to the action bar, create a new button again, and this time we'll call it I'll just call it enable. Okay, and Ajax, and then set the type to Ajax and click next. And again we add two states, active and inactive. Okay, again we add some icons in here. Oops, and I just refreshed there. Okay, so I'm going to come back here to the action bar, click on visual then, and I can modify here again the visual settings of the action bar button. So here again, exclamation, and let's add again a color. So we want again a green color. Now ideally, of course, you want to copy the colors over from, you know, you want the same colors everywhere. In this case, I don't really, I don't think it really matters too much. And of course you are going to go ahead and change that. Or should I try and at least get the same colors? I think that would be okay, at least. Right, so if I put a red here as well, like so, and a lighter green here, like so, then of course we have our hint that we can place here again. So let's apply that. So it's not email, it is actually company. Okay, let's make sure that's not stuck together there. Yeah, see the company template. So here, email, company, space. And here we needed to add the inactive. And of course we could add a confirmation message again and save that. Now, do note that the confirmation message that you've been seeing right now, we do have an alternative to that because you have a window option. And of course that is then down to the theme, which you'll see shortly when we go ahead and change that. So right now we have then here our button. Now, because I've had to go back and forth, well, whenever I edit it now, I need to choose the area that I want to edit. Okay, so here I can just paste then the code that we used previously. And of course, here again, we will need to know the exact table. So here we had the companies and there is ID companies. So let me just put those along. ID companies, and we can just paste that here too. And then it was where the company ID or ID company as per usual, I guess, because it's usually the ID companies. Okay. And it's just straight active. Okay. Active. And we have that here as well. Active, update. And then we need to update here our table. So companies table. So let me type in here companies. There we go. Pretty straightforward, this one. And now, of course, we have here our action bar button. So that was called then here enable. Okay, so let's add then in here our enable. So that then we assign this then also to this specific button. So the active status we still had from previous, we can pretty much leave that. Now we do still want to add here the ID companies into the ID field here, and then we're pretty much good to go. So we can just run that again now also, and there we now have a status, and if I click that, it is active or inactive. And if I come here now to the companies, we now have a 0 for the status. Excellent. So that's working beautifully. And as of course, let's try another one. So all ones, 0, 1, 1, 1. Now refresh. 0, 1, 0, 1. So that's working beautifully. And of course, we can just come in here and now just click that very easily, confirm, yes, that's what we want to do. And the status of this company is enabled or not. So let's then also apply the same here to our clients. Again, I'm just going to copy the script again to speed things up a little bit. The action bar, I'll create another button here. Again, I'll call it enable. So that way we can just leave it the same. Or pretty much. And then here active and inactive. Okay. And then here apply again the exclamation marks for our icons. Okay. And of course, once again, apply a color in here. So I'm not sure if that is the color I've picked so far, but let's just go with it. Okay. Right. So then again, we have all of our options here filled in. We have our messages, and of course here this is now client, Here also. Okay. And let's just double check the active, inactive. We don't want people to be confused. Okay, save the button. And again, we can use here our code. And then again, we just need to confirm those fields. So it's ID clients. Again, we're using active. So instead of ID companies, ID clients. And of course, keeping your fields and tables nice and easy like this, like you see, for instance, with the email template, because of the difference in the terms or the way you've written the tables, it makes some difference. Like this is much easier than, of course, to manage, because if you have a table called clients and it's called clients, yeah, it makes much more sense than having clients underscore table slash whatever you want. So again, we have the enable button, inactive, active. We're pretty much done with this. We can save that. Let's go ahead and run. There we have our status, inactive. This is already inactive. So let's change that. And that is not actually changing there. And we see that is actually active when it's inactive right now. Okay, so now I think we just go ahead and make sure we don't forget to add our on record events to both here the clients and the grid companies. So here on record again, I'll just scroll down here to our action bar state, and again I can just go ahead and remove that. And here the field was quite easy, it was active. So if active 1, then our button, which I have actually forgotten already, action bar button was enable. So here enable, and of course active, and then inactive. Okay, so just like that, if I now go ahead and run the client grid, you see that we have here a bit of a change already compared to what we had before. So just by adding that initial status as well, of course, as I mentioned previously, we have then the active status of our action bar items. Just adding in here the Ajax button is not enough. You need to add your on record event and make sure that you update those statuses depending on whatever the status is when the application loads. And as you see here with our client grids, for instance, and then of course whenever we click on our events, well, they of course then should be updating accordingly. And as you see in some cases, well, the grid may not refresh as you would expect. And of course you can of course make sure in your table, well, one, that those values are being updated and that they are then also being displayed correctly. So let's go ahead and make sure we have everything here good. So we have first of all our event here, so our action bar enable, that is not correct here. That should be enable, and if active 1, then we are active, inactive. Let's double check that. Our field here is active, so with that should be good. So our grid clients, we also have here our field, our action bar is enable, and then with that we also add then the active or inactive status depending here on whether it is actually active or not. Okay, so with that, I think our applications here are pretty much good. They're looking pretty cool already. And of course, we can, well, let's change here to one to active, which it's actually not doing right now. So let's double check here our script for that. So action bar, Ajax, and here, okay, so whenever we click, of course, on one of the statuses, then the grid basically updates. And note I am pressing F5 there to refresh here the group by, because that is not actually refreshing automatically. So one solution I do have for that here, actually, if we come here to our macros and scroll down, we have here the SC redirect. And if I open that up in the manual, we can check that out. And here we can just copy and paste here the SC mini redirect code. I do have it there within the examples, but it's a bit more extensive. So here we can just go grid underscore clients, so that whenever we disable the activity of a user, it forces the redirect of this grid. Let's try that. So if I go active, now we have here the grid updated for the active. Okay, let's replicate that also over here to the inactive status. So when I actually click run now the grid refreshes beautifully because of our group by. That is important. Otherwise, of course, it is refreshing our data, but it is not refreshing the entire grid. And with the group by, that is, of course, quite important. Okay, so now that we have that applied, let's just double check here our grid companies. Now here, we have also a group by applied. So let's actually apply the same thing there as well. So we can just copy here our SC redirect here from our grid companies, come here into our Ajax event, and then we can just paste that in there as well. And just, of course, update here the redirect application to which we want to send our application. Okay, so when I then now click, it redirects then back to this grid, refreshing also the entire content, not only the button. Okay, so that's pretty cool already, I think. And of course, it's a nice addition to our platform. Now, if I go ahead and run, well, we then still have this maybe not so nice look going on. So let's go ahead and adjust that before we finish up with this video. So what I want to do first of all is actually create a new theme. So I'm going to come here to layout, application themes, and I have here the SC Rhino and the SC Blueberry. And what I actually want to do is copy a different theme than what I have available here. So I don't like the Blueberry, and the Rhino is a little more work than what I want to apply in here. Otherwise, it will just be 1 or 2 videos just on customizing the template. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to come here to properties and themes and remove the current themes. And then from there, I will enable here the Sweet Coral and set that also as my default theme. Now, if we want to add more themes later on, we can do. And if you think that is a good idea, then let me know in the comments. If you think it is a good idea maybe for your users to be able to customize the theme according to, well, choose the theme, should I say, then let me know in the comments and we can add that into the project when we go ahead and create the security for this. Okay, so if I continue then, set this single theme here as my default, save that. And then once that has saved, I can then, of course, go ahead and now make changes to that theme. But first, I need to save it for myself. So if I come back to application themes, it pretty much needs to refresh like you see. So I will just open it again, application themes. And now I should have then the updated themes available to me. And if I save as, and I'm going to save that for the project, and here I will call it project theme. And save that, and it tells me the name already exists, so I'll just go theme project then. Okay, so save, and it's probably because, like I said, I'm re-recording this video, and I think I used project theme previously. So theme project it is, and now I have saved a theme for my platform. So first of all, I'll save that and go ahead and, well, it's probably saved already, but it's open. So I'll save it just as a precaution. And then of course I will go ahead and close this theme. Okay. And what I want to do first of all is then come back here to properties, and I want to remove the original theme that I had just added. Okay, because I don't want Sweet Coral, I want everybody to be on my theme project. So now I remove the Sweet Coral, I have this project left. Let me save that, and then what we can do is come up here to our application in the menu, express edit. And now we want to force that theme onto all of our applications. Now you would think it would be automatically be applied, and I guess in some shape or form it is, but still old habits, well, you know. So in this case, I want to change the theme and the button. I will also change here the use Suite Alert as well as the Suite Alert position using toast, because I don't like the toast up in the right. I do prefer it down the bottom. So I will save that and click next. And then here I'll choose then bottom right or center right, bottom right. Well, center right could be nice actually. So let's place it center right. It's then in view. For the theme, you will only have here for project, your project theme available. For the buttons, well, I could choose a separate set of buttons, or I could choose some Scriptcase ones. Now, I actually went ahead and created some buttons previously, so I will just actually leave the buttons as they are for now, and we will create a separate set of buttons in a few moments. Okay, so there I will choose to use Suite Alert. Of course, I've just set the position here, so it's also good to enable it also. So click apply. That is then applied to all of my applications, and you see how fast that is. It's really, there's no cutting there. Okay, so you see how fast it is. It really works beautifully. Okay, so now I have generated those applications. I can run my project, and well, my applications, like you see, they are now actually on a slightly different theme. Okay, so what I will do, however, now we have gone and done that, let's check out the theme first of all. So in this theme, it looks a little cleaner. Okay, I am going to leave the default of this. What I am going to do is actually change the buttons. So yes, I like the orange and everything, but I'm not a big fan of these buttons so much. So I want to change these buttons so it actually goes a little more with my header. And I also want to adjust the header so that the logo looks better for the platform. Okay, so within our Scriptcase environment, the first thing, let me come here to our HTML templates. I'll scroll all the way down. We have here our project P1 header that we had created. And here I'm going to give this some more height. I'll give it a height of 47. Adjust that here as well. And I guess that will do. I will save that. And now if I run, I'm not going to have no update. I need to generate the project again, okay? Because it's actually a header. It's a template. It's an addition to your applications. So with that, now if I go ahead and run, we'll see that is, well, it's shifted. It looks different. So we may want to adjust that some more. So let's have a look here. Let's refresh first of all. F5, okay, is definitely looking like that. And of course, we can inspect that and have a look at where we want to make our adjustments. Okay, so we have, of course, our div here, our header background, and so forth. And then here, our ID menu header. And if I come here, we have here our header BG, that is width 100%. We have here a background color of black. Now, our header BG, well, that may not be the entire height of everything because we've assigned a height here, but as we see, it has more height. So we will want to make adjustments to this, and I think instead of keeping this header as it is, because I think it's a bit nasty with all of the styling the way this is, I'm going to actually recreate a new header for this and add that. So I think I will add that in the next video. So let's go ahead and just skip that for now, close that up, and continue on with the theme and our buttons. And in the next video, well, for the next part, when we add the new sections, we'll then concentrate on finalizing the header templates and maybe even a footer. Okay, so for our application themes, if I come in here now, I now have the option to edit the theme. Now, as I said already, I'm not going to do that. What I do want to do, however, is create a new button theme. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to come here and choose the meadow. In fact, no, the meadow is horrible. So I'll choose the midnight, and with this, I'll go copy and create a new theme. So I'll go project buttons, okay, because I had used project previously. I don't want it to conflict again, and I will assign that also to the project. I'll go OK. And now I have my project buttons. Now, I'm not a big fan of the green. Might just be my eyes, I don't know. But for me, it kind of clashes a little and it looks a bit odd. So what I'm going to do is edit the button set. And I can then come here and make adjustments to all of the buttons, how they look and so forth. Now, one thing I do want to do for the apply, I just want to display the font awesome icon as well as for the cancel. I don't think there's a need to display the whole text there the whole time. Even in some of these other icons, we can just display an icon instead. For instance, here for the new record, we can just display the plus. For the delete, we could just display the trash icon or the bin, whatever you like. For save as well, we can just display icons for the majority of these. So I'm just going to go ahead and adjust all of those very quickly and change then the look of, well, this template, right? The buttons that I will then be assigning to my application. And of course, in some cases, it may make sense to not do, and in some cases, it may make more sense to just have text, whatever you like. And of course, you can add multiple sets of buttons to your applications. It's very easy. You just add more templates and then adjust. Simple as. Okay, so here, only icons. And of course, you could carry on there adjusting that for all of them. So I think I've got the majority of the main ones now. And of course, you could add more. So I will save that, leave it as it is for now. And I'm sorry if it's not amazing. And of course, I missed a few out. If I find some time, I may just dive in there and improve those. But for now, we can see that we have icons on a lot of these, okay? And of course, we can now apply that to our theme. So here within the custom theme that we have, I can just come here to edit, and it's the quickest way because this is then the rapid edit. Now, what's important to note about this edit is that when you make changes in here, it will apply it to your entire project. So if I say the background color, the font, if I change the font, if I change content, if I change headers, whatever it may be, it will be applied throughout my project. So here, for instance, I will say button, sweet corral. Well, no, I want to change that for my project buttons now. So there I will choose project buttons, save that, and now all of my applications will have the project buttons applied. Now I could have gone into the advanced editor and customized that per application. So if I come here to advanced mode, I have then the application list. So here I have grid, and then within page on the majority of options, you will find here the option for buttons, and there I can just change the buttons that I want to have available for the grid application in this case. Now, if I want to have different buttons for different aspects of my platform, the easiest way for that is to create a separate theme and then apply that theme to that page or that application, should I say. Okay, so with that saved, I'll save again just for the sake of it, and of course go ahead then and click the close button once I can. Ding, ding, ding. It's getting there, and now close. Okay, so now that is done, I can go ahead and generate the source code for my project. I'll go generate all applications again. And then we can go ahead and run our project again. So now run. Let me close here the side window, F5 a couple of times to make sure our cache is clear. And we see here already we have the send button up here. And I want to quickly change that as well. So if I come here to root, menu, because we've just added the basic icons there. So here, if I come to this icon, I can choose the icon position, okay, as well as display only the font awesome icon. So let me go ahead and run that again. And there we have now just an icon for that. We just have icons here for the send also. And of course, remember, we need to be online to send the emails. That's why the email error there just occurred. And of course, we have then basic icons for, and of course, like I said, for some of them, you may want to adjust a little more. But in general, it's looking pretty snazzy already. Okay, so of course, because you have just icons displayed in this, and I think I will actually dive in a little more and adjust these some more so that, of course, you have them just as icons. Now, just as icons, this template would then essentially become more suitable for mobile devices. So that is a little freebie there for my members, of course, with this project, because once you have this project, you will also be able to import that theme from the project into your public area and, well, import and use it within your own projects. So that will, of course, be a little bonus there. So before I finish up, I am going to very quickly actually dive through the rest of those buttons so that the rest of the platform looks nice. I don't really want to leave it looking too bad. I think the header there looks bad already, and I actually just want to redo that entirely. But otherwise, let's just come here and adjust all of these to just icons, because then, as I said, this template would essentially be beautiful for you guys to also use as a mobile template. It has, of course, all of the hints and everything, so you'll be able to use it beautifully. And of course, if you prefer to have text, then you just need to create another alternative button option, which you can, of course. And if you don't want to have the surroundings like we have here, you can also remove those and only display the icon. Okay, so we are getting there now. We have done the majority of these icons now. Editable grid, authentication, let's do those also. Just like that, very quickly. And like you see, Scriptcase is working very, very nicely on my new setup. And I've really had no issues whatsoever, other than maybe my own setup mistakes. Because in some of those cases there are, or in some cases should I say, there are some alternative options which you may need to apply, as I've been finding, especially with using the IIS server. But that is something I will be creating a separate video on as we come on down the road. So I'm nearly there, nearly at the bottom here, and as you see, we have a few here with just text, loads of them with icons now, and as I said, this template will then be pretty awesome for those mobile devices. Okay, so like that, if I click save, we have now all of the buttons done. As you see, really quickly, that was quite fast. In fact, I missed one here on the form. Let me come back there, form, and there we have that one. I don't want to leave that, okay, because of course it's the insert, and we will be seeing that on the form. Okay, so with that, I believe I have all of them. Of course, with these other ones that have words still, we could go ahead now and change those to icons. And of course, if you want to go ahead and do that, you can do. So I will just go ahead now and generate all of the applications, making sure that the project is pretty much ready for our next stages. So our next stages, let's discuss our next stages while we are having a look at where we are. So our next stages will involve, of course, a new header template. We will add something else in there, as well as more than likely the user information and some more information for the user, for instance, how many emails have been sent or something along those lines. Just include some statistics there. Okay, so within our application, we may still want to make a few adjustments here. I don't know right now. That is something, of course, I'm open to. It is down to you, of course, to let me know. Now, the emo log, we haven't really seen this yet, have we? Because, of course, we have had no data in here. And, of course, that is also very important for when you develop your applications, to have some dummy data. And what some people do not account for is that the extra time that also takes. So do try and have that. And, of course, with that, your development will become much easier. Okay, so here I do want to make adjustments to the password. I want to encrypt that password and in fact possibly encrypt more of this data so that at least the information is not stored as is in our database. On top of that, I want to start adding the new features to the platform. So yes, we will be jumping back into our little sketching environment that we started with within the beginning of these videos. So you may have been missing that, because I have in some shape or form. And we will then update the little bits and pieces we have added here, as well as, of course, plan out our next steps. And to give you some idea of what I have been planning next, well, it involves PDFs. Okay, so that is what we will be doing next. And if you consider what we have been creating here so far to send clients, emails to clients, as well as to companies, have an email log, some email templates, well, I want to continue with the templating system, so to say. And of course, that is something we will continue with. So I'm not going to give anything else away, but maybe you can figure it out. So I think that is good for this week. As I said, let's go ahead and version our project. So increment the version. We then increase to version 1.0. And the description for this, well, what shall I call this? Moving to next level. Let's call it that. There we go. Moving to the next level, because that's what we will be doing as we continue on within this project. So I will go ahead and increment. And yes, I will be uploading this project possibly today / tomorrow. Well, you will not be seeing this video by then because it will be in a couple weeks from now. But otherwise, members, it's been there for the last couple of weeks, ready and waiting for you, because yes, of course, I would have uploaded it already. So check that out. Go ahead, download the project, learn whatever you like from this. And of course, don't forget, as members, you have a ton of code snippets. I know that when you import one of those projects, you have all of these. And well, I can tell you just by looking at them, you will take some time going through them. So what I've done is actually created a custom variety of snippets that are useful for various functions. And of course, each of those also includes descriptions and details and information on how you can use them. So you have a lot of them there, and they are all included within this project. And of course, you can use them, or they are available to you then as you continue on within your environment. Now, it is important to note, these are all stored on user. So your user account does need to be admin, because my user account is called admin. And this, of course, so that anybody who uses this in the first place can have access to those. Now, within the snippets tool, you can edit the snippet, and you can then also change the mode from user to project or public and have it accessible for all of the users that use your copy of Scriptcase. And of course, from what I understand, that can be quite a few users. Okay, so do go ahead, check that out as a member. That is available to you, as well as this project and upcoming projects. So if you've liked this video and of course you want more content like this, be sure to like, comment, subscribe, hit that notification bell so that you are notified when of course I release more content and more of this platform. So thank you very much for watching, and I hope you have enjoyed this week's video.